Welcome to Public Health Matters, where we talk about what matters in public health. I'm Jane Goodman, Public Health Network Strategist with the Nashua Division of Public Health and Community Services. And before I introduce our guests, I'd like to give you what I think might be one of my last COVID updates. The community levels for COVID-19 are currently low, and you can see the whole state is low from the map. Hillsborough County is looking great. The community transmission levels are around moderate right now. And compared to 2 weeks ago, we have moderate rates. So our colors are getting lighter on the map, which is also an excellent sign. Hopefully that has something to do with the better weather and people being outside. So just remember, we're not done with this yet, but things are looking really great. A reminder that we have COVID-19 antigen tests available for free at the division. Call us at 603-589-4500, and we can get you some of those tests. Also, if you become symptomatic and do that test, and you have a positive diagnosis of COVID-19, remember there are things we can do now to help alleviate the symptoms. And that is Paxlovid. So call 1-800-818-5803 for on-site medical services, telemedicine. And that is only if you can't speak to your primary care provider first. But we do have Paxlovid, so I encourage you to do the test. And also, if you are positive, to get the treatment. It's widely available now. And now on to our guests who are from Positive Street Art. Welcome, Manny and Cecilia.
Thank you.
Manny Ramirez, Cecilia Ulibarri from Positive Street Art, right up the street. And I'm so excited to have you guys here today because it's Public Health Week, and we've had the good fortune to be with you quite a bit the last few weeks, talking about Public Health Week, planning for our conference, doing an exercise with our staff, and then also doing an exercise during our annual meeting with all of our community partners. And it was so impactful and so wonderful. So let's talk first about Positive Street Art and how you guys came to be and why.
First of all, thanks for having us. We're so happy public health is being recognized or recognizing the arts as a form of healing for the community at large. And so we're really excited about sharing what we do. So Positive Street Art started in 2012. And we really just wanted to bring more urban arts to the community as we didn't see much of it about 11 years ago. And we then quickly realized not everybody is a visual artist and wanted to still be part of what we're doing in our movement of expression. And so we started dance workshops, and we also included other types of creatives. And that's now expanded. We actually have a headquarters, 48 Bridge Street, and we have tons of programming such as open mic nights and art film nights and artistic workshops and art fairs, art gallery showings, many different things. And we really want that space to be a safe space for all creatives because we want to make sure that people can really have that that space to really express themselves because we really understand what the healing properties of art can be.
Sure, and it's so well thought out. We got to visit your space, so I'm cheating a little bit, but with the modular walls and, you know, you have room, you said you can move over mirrors for the dance, and it's just, and it's soothing. It's just such a nice space, so
Thank you.
Check it out. What's the address again?
48 Bridge Street
48
in
Bridge
Nashua.
Street. We'll give that a plug at the end too. So I want to back up though, because you said you wanted to introduce people more to urban arts. So what qualifies as urban arts? Because I think that's something people might like to understand.
So urban art, and I think Manny can help me a little bit with this, but urban art was rooted in marginalized communities. I think and Manny will speak better about this, but you know, graffiti and you know, the 5 elements of hip hop, and how people really found a place to express themselves through oppression, through poverty, through a lot of different struggles, and so much came out of that. You had the hip hop movement in general, which was dance and music and art. So whether it was graffiti or them, you know, painting publicly or even on their own, now that they had this platform or this form of expression to really share how they're feeling.
Yeah.
So I'll let you elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think urban art, like for me, is more it's kind of like doing what you want to do in a uncontrolled environments, right? So and then you can take that from, you know, the roots of graffiti all the way to, even if you have your own studio, you're painting inside the studio, you can still contribute to the urban art movement that way as well. But I think it's the way that the movement works that is considered urban, right? And so like, and it shows up in areas where you don't expect it to be. So like in the street, you know, you go to look at what you would call like high-end art or highbrow art or fine art in a museum or fine art galleries, stuff like that. But then you can walk in the street and like just turn a corner and see something that should exist in the same space as a fine art, and then that's considered urban art as well. I mean, there's like the paths of like the type of the style kind of cross a lot, so you could see fine art in the public, and you can also see urban art inside of, you know, in controlled spaces as well. So it's sort of like a fine line, but I think its roots come from small beginnings and very humble beginnings, where it's people who completely feel like their style or what they want to do is not there's not necessarily a guide or book that they can like follow to get there, until they kind of like make it up their own, and then it becomes something much bigger than they thought it would be originally, which is kind of what happened with us. And that basically, like in a nutshell, is, you know, you start with something that you have in your mind that you don't see anywhere else, and you don't really have a guide to how to get it done, but you have that in your heart. You want to bring that creation out, and then that's how it happens, and then people catch on to it, or it gets acknowledged or not, right? And that's, I think, in a nutshell,
I think it's even, I think it's also even a way to really find a place where you belong, because, you know, in the traditional arts world, we didn't really see that we fit in with the type of art that we were doing. So we created that space with positive street art, and I think that has been done over decades now, where people are expressing their urban arts in different, you know, out of the box facilities or, you know, places. So such as public art, or, you know, creating their own spaces to showcase and express themselves. It's basically a need to find a place of belonging.
And I have to say, you know, you say graffiti, but let me just say, Manny, that some of your murals are so far from graffiti. They're so beautiful and they're so well done, and I'm so amazed that you do that. So we're going to go through some of them, and the thought that goes behind them, it's just really impressed me, because it's just amazing. And the other thing I want to say about the urban arts, because we have the Picker Institute that's done a lot of sculpture around, and now we have your murals. It's free. You just have to walk down the street.
Very accessible.
And so, and that makes it even better to me. Like, and when you explain that, it's a way to be part of the art scene, and it's accessible, and accessible to everyone. And so after we met, I think I did go back to the one I'm going to show. So we'll put that up, and you can explain to me, because I think our viewers will know it's a black and white mural called Nostalgia, and it's quite large. And so if you're facing south, okay, I did that very well. I'm not great with directions. You can see this mural. And tell us a little bit about the mural, because it really, we're just putting up a clip of Clark Gable, but it's really impressive.
Yeah, so that was to honor the building's 100th anniversary. And then that building, it used to be, there was 3 different theaters in that building that I believe 2 of the 3 burned down. When the final one finally burned down is when they decided not to put a theater there again, not to reconstruct it. Correct.
Too much popcorn.
Yeah.
No, it was the projectors actually.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Because they used fire to show the screenings, and that's it was a hazard.
Wow.
It was the process of the projection. It wasn't actual fire, but it was sort of like open flame that projected a light strong enough to be able to be seen in large area. That caused a couple of fires, and the building, the marquee on the front of the building is still there. The building manager, he actually rebuilt one of the projectors from one of the fires so that he can display it there, so he can continue to show the history of the building. Because you can kind of see it from the front. I think a lot of people don't. They just kind of pass by. If you walk into the building, you see it immediately there. So it's kind of like a easy way to remember that there was a theater there, or a few. So the building owners, they hired us to paint a mural to commemorate their 100th anniversary of the building. And then building manager asked me, as we were going back and forth with kind of figuring out what should the mural look like, he asked me if I can do him a favor and look at the movie The Blob, because there's a part in the movie where the Blob goes through a theater and then eats the projector, which is the same exact projector that they used to use there, because it's the same kind of time also as well. And then it's just like a cool iconic scene.
Yeah.
So he was telling me to go look at that. I never even heard of The Blob before that.
Yeah, well, you're too young.
So I went back and I saw the movie. I was fascinated by it. It's just all these old, really cool, early cinematic, gold. It was just really cool to see that. And then so I got the idea from that idea to just pick different iconic scenes to display in this mural, and then eventually we came down to showcasing different genres, and then these were all movies that were most likely showcased in these cinemas, right? So,
and in black and white.
And black and white.
And black and white as well.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because I've passed it a million times.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite stores are in that building.
Yeah.
And when you told me the story of it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's why it's in black and white. I went back and I saw the camera and the blob. And then of course I had to tell everyone about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just such a cool way. And to your point, Cecilia, you had said we don't do anything that's not well thought out, and so it's just apparent.
Yeah.
Now, do you use brushes, or how did you?
Yeah, so we use a variety of
amazing.
things. I think that's one of the things that helps me stay sane with art. In terms of the self talk and this is not good enough and whatever. Is just that I try so many things at once. I see what works, what doesn't, what I enjoy using the most, and then right now what I enjoy using the most is spray paint.
Okay.
But I use brushes, all sorts of different types of paints, spray guns, and airbrushes. But for the most part, the majority of the murals are painted with exterior paints, exterior house paints,
Right, because you want it to last.
high end, yeah. And then all the detail is done with spray paint. Well, the majority of the detail is done with spray paint.
And then we usually put a UV sunscreen on it, which is like a UV top coat to prevent it from
It's a serious
fading.
business. You guys don't mess around. So that I'm just now more amazed because that's spray paint. So moving on, because I don't want to talk about just one, because there's so many around the city. So I want people to open their eyes and look around. And then there's another one kind of across the street that really struck me, and we used it on our advertising for our annual meeting, and that's the Grateful is that the right one, or gratitude?
Gratitude mural,
The gratitude mural, which is a big sun. And tell us a little bit of the story behind that one.
Sure. So actually, originally, so it was just spawned out of an idea to do this gratitude wall. Actually, Dr. Yvonne Dunitz had come to us and said, we should do like a chalk wall, a gratitude wall where people could write, whatever they're grateful for on any given day. But as we discussed it a little bit more and tried to figure out where the best place that would be, we realized that we weren't going to be able to maintain that very well. That would be a lot of work to go there, making sure there weren't things that are, that were explicit, or something that's really enjoyable for the entire community. We ended up involving Saima Foos from PRG, and really talked about how you can make this a larger mural and just have a profound effect, but still including all of the community. So we asked several people. So we had boxes at all the different small businesses. We asked students at the schools. We asked several community members and business members like what they're grateful for, and we collected thousands of words of gratitude.
You really could work in public health, because this is what we do. We collect people's words and we make some sense out of them.
Yeah, so we collected all those words and then we put them all in an Excel spreadsheet. We had a lot of them that, were in the same
category,
same categories,
bucket,
yeah. So we ended up picking, about 100 and something words, and we put those in the rays of sun that were shining the light on 4 trees throughout the 4 seasons, because that was meant to show that you should show gratitude throughout the year and not just one time of the year.
Not just in summer when the darn snow is gone.
or just during Thanksgiving or things like that. So just a reminder to share your gratitude throughout the year and not just, just a one-time thing. Because there's several things that we can be grateful for. And several community members helped us with that mural as well, helped us paint it. So it was really a big community effort.
It's awesome. And then I'm just going to go through one more, and you told me the name beforehand, but it's like kids playing in water, and I don't remember the name, so tell me.
Yeah, so it's called the Take Courage mural. Okay. And it's actually several individuals and their family members who have suffered substance use and are no longer with us. So it was a way to shine light and kind of bypass the stigma that these are people that are still, children or parents or, friends and family members of people that want to still remember them in the best light. So you have someone dancing there, you have someone splashing in a puddle. But the other thing is there's a juxtaposed on the skyline, you have like a dark sky on one side, but then you have the light on the other side, kind of showing that there's brighter days ahead. And we put the names of those individuals on the plaque, but also we wanted to inspire others that may be suffering with substance use, being inspired by that message. There's a whole quote about taking courage when days are hard. So hopefully,
I think the quote says, "Take courage when the road is long. Don't forget you're never alone," or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. To me, when I glance at this, I just see joy. So it's so interesting that there's such a kind of really sad story behind it as well. And this can be found on Temple Street, kind of facing the library. If you're coming from the library, you'll see it.
Yes.
If you walk down Temple Street. So just beautiful. So let's shift a little, because you guys not only make our city beautiful and artsy and make it into a museum, but you do workshops. And I had the privilege really of doing a workshop with you with our public health, our division, or I should say our department within the division. And this picture is just, it's so beautiful. I'm going to take it home, but I'm not allowed to. So we did, we all painted our individual pieces, and you led us through something as kind of a team building activity. So maybe you could just describe that a little bit, the value of that. I felt the value, but I think, I don't want to shortchange it.
Yeah. So I think the coolest thing about our team projects is they're not just your average, like, oh, write something on a Post-it note. And, this is something different to really get them out of their comfort zone to do something a little bit different. So there's that aspect of it, but also really kind of like letting go of perfection and really just going in it with intentions to just enjoy the process, but also feel whatever you're supposed to feel during the activity. So my activity focused on asking the individuals that were participating in the program to use colors that brought them joy or that represented working with the team, and how that made them feel. And they could color in the lines however they wanted, or out of the lines, that's fine too.
We had some interesting things going on there.
Yes, and that was the point. And then they got to speak about it. And then they all were numbered so that they all came together as one whole mural. And then we talked about the collective. So the imagery was kind of a bunch of faces, one in the other, kind of like starting small and getting bigger. But they're all kind of pulled together by this kind of swirl, which is like the brainchild of the collective working together and coming together as a team. And so I asked the entire group to give me some words of how they feel that their work is within, how the work that they do in the community makes them feel. And the biggest word was they feel impactful when they do their work. So I also did a small little three of the canvases, actually one of yours, has the word impactful put over it, just to kind of represent the entire mural.
It really came out so great. It's in our office now, but I think it was just a great, such a positive thing, and a lot of people went into it going, what are we doing here? But I think that's the best part of it. So another thing you did with us recently was with quite a large group. We took people out of their normal spaces, really, and said, you're going to create. And that is, you can see the different sheets. Everyone created their own. And again, we put it together. And we had a lot of boards because we had 75 or 80 people there. And it just created such a beautiful sense of color and variety. And it almost looked like one, I mean, it wasn't as organized as, the other thing. And we were going to have people take them home at the end of the day. And we decided not to because we liked it so much. So great ways for, teams to get together, to bond a little bit. Again, to get out of that, I would say like frenetic workspace. Because a lot of times we're so busy getting to the next task that we don't take time to think about the value of our work, or if we need that healing, whether it's with a coworker or something personal. It just allows for that time and that space.
It uses a different part of your brain.
Yeah, it really does.
So you're taken out of that, like you said, like that workplace mentality where you have to type a report out or whatever, where you're now painting how you're feeling and really exploring different mediums and just different ways to kind of come together as a team. So it's definitely unique in its ability to really be an icebreaker, but also help to pull the team together as well. So
it's also another way to acknowledge that you're allowed to make mistakes too. So I think, like you were saying, like you're so used to like the work routine, and then in the workplace it's not very easy to just be allowed to be making mistakes, right? So you kind of get used to that, and then like if you do something wrong, you're immediately judging yourself, right? So this is kind of like a way to like gets you out of that zone of like it has to be perfect, and like that, especially when it comes to art, so like immediately you're already thinking and judging everything that you're doing with your artwork when you should be like completely letting loose.
Right. Well, I let loose.
Yeah,
I got the swirl going.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give your email so people can get in touch with you, positivestreetart@gmail.com.
correct.
And we'll put up the website as well so people can really explore your galleries, because it's a lot to behold. And you're also branching out. You mentioned you're doing one in Concord, or you have done one in Concord, and going to Portsmouth soon. So you're spreading out.
Yeah, we did one in Lancaster last year.
Oh, wow. So that's great. So I think it's such a great way for us to see it. And again, you're walking down Main Street, it's free. So thank you both, not only for coming on the show today and sharing, but also for the whole week that I had with you before. So
Our
thank
pleasure.
you. And I just want to let our audience know that courage is knowing when to ask for help if you are feeling down or low. Discuss your mental health with your primary care provider. Don't be afraid to ask. Do something before you get too low. Know your numbers. Is your blood sugar over 100? Know your diabetes risk and visit, again, your provider. There's a theme here. We really want you to get back to that primary care provider. And know your numbers on your blood pressure. Is it over 120, over 80? It's very important. It's one of the most easy things for us to control, and really it affects so many things in our health. And finally, we have our health clinic open from 4 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, and on Fridays from 9 to 12. And on Thursdays from 3 to 6 p.m. we have a sexual wellness clinic. And a reminder that if you need food benefit access, WIC, SNAP, free and reduced school lunch, and mobile food pantries, visit nheasy.nh.gov. And we want to thank you for tuning in. And remember, the public health matters.